For me, the three highlights of 2016 have been that number 1, Rogue One came out, number 2, Rogue One is fantastic, and number 3, Rogue One is also chock full of Easter eggs and references. We knew before the film's release that we could expect appearances from Darth Vader and a CG Peter Cushing as Grand Moff Tarkin, but the very best of the fan service was of course hidden away in the background. And we reckon we've spotted a few things. I'm Peter from WhatCulture.com, and here are 40 Rogue One Easter eggs and references you must see. Spoilers, so many spoilers. Oh god, the spoilers. Number 40, the opening. Prior to the film's release, contention surrounded the news that there will be no main saga-style opening crawl. However, despite this, director Gareth Edwards still managed to use the film's opening to tie it into the franchise. We're informed as ever that the events of the film took place a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. The very first shot of the movie is way out in space, which is how every episode has begun, and the main Rogue One title is shown in yellow text, gliding through a starfield. Sure, the iconic crawl might not have featured, but Rogue One's opening still has an air of familiarity. Number 39, Wobani Kenobi. At the very start of the movie, Jyn is held at an Imperial labor camp on a planet called Wobani, which the eagle-eyed among you may have noticed is an anagram of Obi-Wan. It's a cute tribute to a fan-favourite character, but not the only one. Number 38, Godzilla. Director Gareth Edwards confirmed prior to the film's release that a number of Easter eggs would feature amongst the paintings on the cave wall of Saw Gerrera's hideout. Speaking to the Star Wars show, he claimed that sketches of Mutos and Zilla himself appeared on set overnight, stating, "They did it as a joke. I came in one day and spotted it during the middle of a take." Number 37, the Bacta tank. Our first hazy glimpse of Darth Vader is of him out of his suit having a nice soak in a Bacta tank, a vessel full of restorative gloop that works wonders on burns and severed limbs, which old Vader has in abundance. However, it's not the first time we've seen one of these marvels. As well as having numerous appearances in the expanded universe, a Bacta tank was used to speed up Luke's recovery after his run-in with the Wampa on Hoth in The Empire Strikes Back. Like father, like son. Number 36, Blue Milk. It's a Star Wars classic. What better way to establish a sense of familiarity with the Erso family than sticking a jug of blue bantha milk on their kitchen counter, the very same beverage favoured by Luke, Uncle Owen, and Aunt Beru at the start of A New Hope. In fact, they even have a handful of moisture vaporators outside their farmhouse, which suggests that we really are meant to be building that mental association between the two groups of characters. Just like the Lars family, the Ersos are innocent, humble people who've become wrapped up in something unfathomably momentous. Number 35, Saw Gerrera. Viewers who aren't so into the wider Star Wars universe may have been a little confused as to why attention was focused so heavily on Saw Gerrera's death, considering he'd only had a few minutes of total screen time up to that point. However, while Forrest Whitaker's Rebel leader may have seemed like an entirely new creation for Rogue One, he was in fact introduced in the TV series Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Number 34, it's a trap. There are a number of recurring phrases in the Star Wars movies, but perhaps the most unexpected in Rogue One was a direct nod to Admiral Akbar's most iconic utterance from Return of the Jedi. It's a trap! Fortunately, it came from Saw Gerrera and not the film's token Mon Calamari, Admiral Raddus. That would have been a bit much. Number 33, Edu 426. Gareth Edwards admitted ahead of release that he attempted to include nods to all sorts of films in Rogue One, including The Thin Red Line and Blade Runner, but one of the more noticeable was the design of the planet Edu, which many fans have noted for bearing an uncanny resemblance to LV-426, the moon on which Ridley Scott's xenomorphs are first introduced in Alien. Number 32, Jordan from Rizzle Kicks. One half of English hip-hop duo Rizzle Kicks, Jordan Rizzle Stevens, has a cameo in Rogue One's third act as a Rebel Alliance soldier who helps the hero storm the beach on Scarif, but I'll be honest, I didn't spot this one. I even knew he was going to be in the film, but I still didn't spot it. He was right in the centre of frame, but I just didn't... Adam, are Rizzle Kicks even relevant anymore? Should I cut them from the list?
It's a trap!
Number 31, the Stormtrooper doll. Hardly an Easter egg in and of itself due to its lingering close-up shot, the Stormtrooper doll found by the Death Troopers hunting Jyn makes this list for subtler reasons. Foremost, it's an understated nod to the Rebel pilot doll that Rey keeps in her home on Jakku in The Force Awakens, but it also happens to be a brilliantly crafted introduction to the new soldiers themselves. Holding the doll in his hand, we're being told that the new Death Trooper is a force to be reckoned with, and that going toe-to-toe with a regular Stormtrooper is child's play in comparison. Number 30, Chopper's cameo. During a wide shot within the Yavin 4 base, C-110P, aka Chopper from the Star Wars Rebels series, can briefly be seen wheeling by, but blink and you'll miss him. Number 29, the Jedha crowds. Crowds are my new favourite thing in Star Wars movies because you never know who you might spot. When the crew arrive at Jedha City and start fighting their way through the hustle and bustle, keep your eyes firmly open. You'll not only see plenty of tall figures in long red robes who look suspiciously like Palpatine's Imperial guards, but also an AT-ST Walker and an Imperial probe droid as seen on Hoth. Number 28, Rian Johnson and Ram Bergman cameos. It was confirmed during London's Star Wars celebrations this year that Episode 8 director Rian Johnson and producer Ram Bergman would have cameos in Rogue One as the two Imperial technicians who stand in the firing chamber of the Death Star and likely have their eyebrows singed off on a daily basis. Johnson also confirmed that he will be returning the favour by including Edwards in cameo form in Episode 8, so there's one for next year's list. Number 27, May the Force be with you. You can't have a Star Wars movie without it.
Anakin, may the Force be with you.
And the scriptwriters managed to get in not only a May the Force be with us in Jyn's rallying of the troops, but also a perfect garden variety May the Force be with you from a man on the intercom in the Yavin 4 hangar. And let's not forget its little brother, number 26, I have a bad feeling about this. Another phrase uttered in every single Star Wars movie to date, the Rogue One version of the line was given to the droid who says what he means and means what he says, K2SO, the best character in the movie by the way. Argue below. Number 25, Saw Gerrera foreshadows Vader. As Saw Gerrera interrogates Bodhi Rook and takes a long breath of air from his mask, a fleeting look of fear crosses the Imperial defector's eyes. A few subtle notes from the Imperial March music are all it takes for us to know that Rook is very much familiar with Darth Vader and is struck with fear even hearing someone else's breathing apparatus. Number 24, Rogue Squadron. A reference we've had since the movie's name was first announced, Rogue Squadron was a group of rebel starfighters that featured in a number of expanded universe media, including its own video game series. Members included Luke Skywalker and Wedge Antilles, as well as Biggs Darklighter's cousin, Gavin. That's actually his name, Gavin Darklighter. In any case, it's actually quite touching to know that Rogue One had a lasting influence on the wider universe, except it's all non-canon for the time being, so someone start a petition maybe? Bring back Gavin. Number 23, the Hammerhead and the Ghost. These two Easter eggs were actually brought to light in the trailers before release. Some keen-eyed fans thought they'd spotted a Hammerhead Corvette of Star Wars Rebels and Knights of the Old Republic fame, while others caught sight of a VCX-100 light freighter, which was visible for just a moment amongst the Rebel fleet. Rebels fans asserted that this couldn't possibly be any other ship than the Ghost, though nobody knew for sure until number 22, General Syndulla. When the Rebels are preparing to leave Yavin 4, the name General Syndulla can be heard over the intercom, a much more on-the-nose reference to the show's heroic Hera Syndulla, owner of the iconic Ghost. Confirmed, but wait, there's more! Number 21, Captain Antilles. Another name heard over the intercom as pilots scramble their ships is Captain Antilles. Now, you'd be forgiven for thinking that this is a reference to Rogue Squadron X-Wing pilot Wedge Antilles, who featured in all three of the original movies, but it's actually more likely to be a nod to the unrelated Raymus Antilles. He's captain of Tantive 4, the rebel ship from the opening of A New Hope, and thus he's also the man named by C-3PO as the droid's previous master. And on that note, number 20, Tantive 4 and the Devastator. How could we not offer a spot to the consular ship that was just carrying a member of the Imperial Senate on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan, Honest, and the colossal Star Destroyer that swallowed it up? Nobody knew for sure where and when Rogue One was going to end within the established timeline, but the hopes of many fans were realised when the action literally went right up to the mark. It was a hauntingly bittersweet moment to see the two ships together again, not least for the fact that they played host to the best 5 minutes of the entire movie. Number 19, RA-7 Protocol Droids. An RA-7 Protocol droid was shown off in the sizzle reel from the Star Wars Celebration, but seeing it in universe was wonderful. This iconic model of droid, first shown in the Jawa Sandcrawler in A New Hope, is a fan favourite, and we were treated not just to one RA-7 walking around Jeddah, but a second black one working for the Empire. Number 18, the weapon test. A pivotal scene in Rogue One sees Krennic carrying out an impromptu weapons test on the planet Jeddah, an obvious echo of both the destruction of Alderaan and the test of Starkiller Base in The Force Awakens. The firing sequences on the Death Star were recreated almost shot for shot, and prior to the second firing, we were treated to an eerily familiar repeat of Moff Tarkin's infamous line, "You may fire when ready." Number 17, Dejarik returns. Everyone loved the inclusion of Chewbacca's hollow chess set in Force Awakens, but a similar treat awaited Rogue One viewers in Saw Gerrera's base, where some of his goons were playing a physical version of the game Dejarik on the tabletop. Number 16, Rebellion Notables. Though many fans assume that Disney will be bringing back one or two familiar faces for Rogue One, I think few of us expected anyone other than Mon Mothma when it came to Rebel leaders. However, as if one or the other wasn't enough, we were treated to appearances from both Bail Organa, that's Leia's father, and a recast Jan Dodonna, who in A New Hope briefed the Rebel pilots before the Battle of Yavin. Number 15, the Dancing Twi'lek. There may be a war going on, but it seems there's always time for someone in the Star Wars universe to watch a scantily clad lady flail her head tails around. You will doubtless remember Oola performing such a dance in Jabba's palace before meeting a sticky end, but in Rogue One, it was Saw's soldiers who were enjoying the show. This time, via hologram. Pretty cool. Number 14, Bail's fate. A poignant moment that again adds weight to A New Hope was Bail Organa's announcement that he was going to head back to Alderaan to make preparations. What with the old expanded universe being retconned when Disney purchased Star Wars, Bail's fate was totally up in the air, but Rogue One was the bearer of the bad news. Leia's father did indeed head home, and therefore she's not only watching her planet go up in flames at the hands of the Death Star in A New Hope, but her father too. Grim. Number 13, nobody loses a limb. Fun fact, at least one person gets an appendage chopped off in each of the first 6 Star Wars movies, and a scene was cut from The Force Awakens in which Chewie rips Unkar Plutt's arm out of the socket. Messy. So it's an official first. No main character loses a hand, arm or leg in Rogue One, and while it's possible some of the background soldiers might have ended up in pieces, there was certainly no direct attention drawn to it, so we're calling it there, no limbs severed. Number 12, disguise. The heroes disguising themselves is a major Star Wars trope, so Jyn and Cassian donning Imperial uniform was a familiar sight. However, what was more subtle is they actually acquired the outfits in the same way that Han and Luke did in A New Hope, by hiding in the crawl space, luring Imperials on board, and knocking them unconscious out of sight. Number 11, a Jedi friend. An anagram was absolutely not enough of a tribute to our friend Obi, so it was warm hearts all round when Mon Mothma and Bail Organa shared whispers about a Jedi friend from the Clone Wars, quite clearly referring to Kenobi. Number 10, the Yavin Lookout. Fans were treated to the iconic sight of an Alliance soldier scanning Cassian's incoming ship from atop a pole in an almost identical shot to that of A New Hope, which shows the arrival of the Falcon on Yavin. Number 9, Galen Starkiller. A fun one for the gamers out there, the name of Jyn's father Galen might ring a few bells with you, as this was also the given name of Galen Marek, who became Starkiller, Vader's secret apprentice in The Force Unleashed. Number 8, Vader's Castle. One of the original plans for The Empire Strikes Back was to have Darth Vader residing in a large opulent castle designed by concept artist Ralph McQuarrie. The castle did eventually feature in various tales of the expanded universe and was located on a planet called Vajun, which was infamously plagued by acid rain. Interestingly though, Vader's castle in Rogue One is on Mustafar, the very planet where Vader was initially wounded by Obi-Wan. Number 7, R2 and 3PO. Not quite top 5 material because it's very much a reference rather than an Easter egg. How could we fail to mention the appearance of everyone's favourite droid duo? R2 and 3PO get a line of dialogue each as they watch the Rebel fleet head off to Scarif, maintaining their record as the only characters to appear on screen in every single Star Wars movie. Number 6, Black Saber. As Jyn trawls through the Imperial database in the final act, one of the entries she reads aloud is Black Saber. This is likely a reference to the Dark Saber, a black-bladed lightsaber seen in the Clone Wars and Rebels TV shows, not to mention a number of expanded universe comics. Here's hoping we'll actually see one in a movie someday. Number 5, BT-15s are obsolete. In A New Hope, 2 stormtroopers are overheard talking about the new BT-16 perimeter droids.
You seen that new BT-16?
A throwaway line it seems at the time, but somehow this has paid off brilliantly 39 years later with a referential conversation between 2 stormtroopers in Rogue One who state that the B-15 is obsolete. Number 4, Red Leader and Gold Leader. One of the most unexpected hidden gems we found was the inclusion of unused footage from A New Hope during the Rogue One space battle featuring Gold Leader played by Angus MacInnes and Red Leader played by Drew Henley. You may remember the latter for taking the first shot at the exhaust port during the Battle of Yavin and missing. One final nod to the Battle of Yavin came in the form of number 3, Red 5. It's a funny feeling when you find yourself laughing at the death of a pilot in Star Wars, but many fans found themselves doing just that as they watched Rogue One, as Red 5 got gunned down, leaving his seat open for Luke to take up in A New Hope as he joins the Rebel Alliance. It was another subtle nod, but quite a funny one, in a strange, morbid sort of way. Number 2, Vader's helmet. This one isn't just a good Easter egg, but also commendable attention to detail. The creative team had the foresight to give Vader his duller helmet design, more in line with the one he wore in A New Hope, as opposed to the shinier one of Empire and Return of the Jedi. It wouldn't have made much sense if Vader had had a shiny suit in Rogue One, only to go back to his duller one in A New Hope and then get a shiny one back in Empire, so hats off for that internal consistency. And number 1, you just watch yourself. One of my favourite moments in the entire movie, besides everyone's new favourite massacre, and the reference that proved well and good that Disney genuinely know what they're doing, came when our heroes accidentally barged into a couple of passers-by on Jedha. A perfectly delivered turn to the camera and the oh-so-familiar instruction to watch yourself revealed that Jyn had in fact encountered Mos Eisley Cantina thug Dr. Cornelius Evazan and his wingman Ponda Baba. I'm sure there's some argument that it was unnecessary or jarringly convenient, but I believe the payoff was far too good to entertain the idea that it should have been cut. Well played, Lucasfilm. Well played. And that is our bloody massive list. But was it long enough? Doubtless we've still missed some Easter eggs, so please let us know what you spotted in the comments below. Don't forget, as always, to like, share and subscribe, and you can follow me on Twitter here and come talk about Star Wars if you like. I'm Peter from WhatCulture.com, and I'll see you soon.